Elon Musk has a problem with Lupita playing Helen of Troy. But here's what I'm saying, Art. If ancient Greece is indebted to Egypt for its culture and civilization, they said this themselves. Because remember, white supremacy don't exist yet. White supremacy don't exist yet. So the Greeks admitted they borrowed from the Egyptians. They admitted they went to Egypt and studied Thales and Pythagoras and Plato. They admitted they went to Egypt. So it was no secret that they borrowed heavily from Egyptian civilization. So why is Elon Musk upset if Lupita plays Helen of Troy? She got a right to play Helen of Troy because there would be no Troy without ancient Egypt. Art, they've done excavations in Greece where they found the skeletons and the skin and the hair of Black Egyptians and Ethiopians in Greece 1,400 years ago, Art. 1,400 years before Christ. Before Christ. So if you go 2,000 plus 14, that's 3,400 years ago, Art. They found Africans, the skeletons and remains of Africans in ancient Greece. And let me give you this, Art. Do you know that there are some people who would argue that Greece was not even a white civilization? They didn't look like Europeans. They were not blonde hair, blue eyes. They had olive skin with dark hair, bro. Some would argue that the Greeks were a mixed race African people, not Arab. They were not part of the Sand Kingdom, but they appeared to look like a mixed race African people, bro. So how can Elon Musk be upset when there is clear evidence of African DNA within Greek society? Look, here's my thing to white folks, Art. Here's my thing. They stole our God's art. Amun-Ra became Zeus. Hathor became Aphrodite. Horus became Apollo. Tahuti.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, when we talked about Christopher Nolan's Odyssey and Elon Musk having spent like 7 months wetting his pants about it, one of the things we did say was, why don't you make your own version then? If you're really so upset about it.
Why did we open our mouth?
Well, anyway, yeah. Now he's had 2 ideas in the last week. He's an ideas man above all.
Oh, yeah.
The first one was to give $100 million to Mel Gibson, which reminds me, I've got to check in on the resurrection of the Christ. That's gone very quiet, hasn't it?
Yes.
Do you remember they started filming in Italy? Yeah. I need to check in on that. Okay. To give Mel Gibson $100 million to make a historically accurate Odyssey. He's now pulled back from that idea, I think.
I think, and in the original Aramaic, right, was the idea. I think that was the idea.
He now wants to Grok, his AI, he wants Grok to make a version.
I trust Grok.
Of it, yeah. I mean, he's very, very angry about Matt Damon in that role for some reason. I don't know why, because for me, okay, you know I loved it, and I did say right on the day, I completely loved it. But for the movie to be, which I think it is
so, there's no way a black woman not appearing on Helen of Troy, yet it is originated from Africa, from Egypt, 400 years ago. Let's continue this.
I love that black people and trans people live in Elon Musk's head rent-free. So much so that he is absolutely pissed off by the Odyssey. So much so that he has vowed that his Grok AI is going to be making an accurate version of the Odyssey. I hate to break it to you, babes, but this is the most accurate version we have seen of the Odyssey, both technically and visually. I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna go see it today, but from what I have heard, from the 20-foot puppet to the actual recreation of a loon, like Christopher Nolan, come get your baddie chain. As a Greek mythology nerd, this eats. They even have an ancient breed of dog. And I think the funniest thing about all of this is the irony and the hypocrisy. Because all of MAGA, their whole shtick is that they think that they are merit-based. As if they don't clearly move the benchmark anytime they want the merit to fit to them. And to move the benchmark, they will take shortcuts and cheat by any means necessary. And then when it looks bad and they think that it's the exact same thing and put it out there, it's so laughable to the rest of us. So I honestly can't wait for this AI slop to come out so we can all have a good laugh at the holidays.
Right now, the Odyssey is successful. Even whites are enjoying it. This guy, Noran, is pulling out the real Ellen of Troy. Let's watch this.
Odyssey is going to be the new standard in Hollywood. They're going to go out and spend, 120, 150 million dollars of advertising revenue and advertising budget to shove this garbage down people's throats, and so that they can come out and say, "Oh, we had a big opening weekend," and
They did.
make people think that it's a success when,
It is.
in reality, financially, it was a devastating loss. They'll be lucky to recover their $400 million they spent making this thing. It was like $350 million. Everyone's so sick of this.
Why is everyone so dumb? Why can't they be smart? Like me. I know all you conservatives hate math. Numbers are not your thing. So I see how you got this wrong. Now, the Odyssey did spend $125 million on advertising. They are in for $375 total. They already made $303 million by Tuesday. It's Thursday now. They are projected to make over $800 million with this movie. It is a massive success. And $125 million spent on advertising isn't why people are going to see this movie. That isn't even a lot for a large studio. Spider-Man Brand New Day is spending like $200 million. For Doomsday, it's $300 million just in advertising. People didn't go see this movie because of the advertising. They went to go see it because they wanted to, because it looks like a good movie. You've just been conditioned to hate things. And you're easily manipulated. And why is everything being shoved down?
This is how it started. Watch this.
Elon Musk is weighing in on rumors that Christopher Nolan has cast Oscar winner Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy in the big screen version of the Greek poet Homer's epic, The Odyssey. Now, Musk claims that Nolan has lost his integrity. Ooh, because Homer described this fictional character as fair-skinned blonde who was so beautiful that men started a war over here. I don't know if you realize this. Lupita is also considered one of the world's most beautiful women. So I'm not sure what you're trying to say. You don't actually have to go to the movie.
Yeah, what does he care?
You don't. Well, I don't know why you feel like you need to speak on this. And I would suggest looking in a mirror if you have any concerns about people's looks, if this is where we're going. And don't bother to try to clown me, baby. I know what I look like. There's so many things I want to say to you that are rude and awful, but I won't do it. But know that I'm thinking it.
Hey, MAGA, I got a question. What does your algorithm look like? I mean, mine is full of really racist shit right now. And I know, I engage in it. I stitch shit, and I understand that is going to happen. But I feel like it's gotten a lot worse lately. So I'm curious, are you seeing a lot of black people saying really horrible shit about white people? What's going on over there? Because over here, it's gross. It's gross. I get a lot of racist shit, and I get a lot of people saying that they hated the Odyssey. What? Who hates the Odyssey?
So, there is no way a black woman not appearing on Ellen of Troy, yet it is originated from Africa, from Egypt, 400 years ago. Let's continue this.
Elon Musk's ongoing beef with the Odyssey just took another new turn. Elon Musk has been an outspoken critic of Christopher Nolan's new epic, accusing Nolan of casting Lupita Nyong'o as Helen of Troy only to fulfill the Oscars' representation and inclusion standards. He also responded to early rumors that trans actor Elliot Page would be playing Achilles by calling it, quote, one of the dumbest and most twisted things I've ever heard. But despite Musk's and his followers' anti-Odyssey campaign, the film has been a massive success, making over $250,000 in its first weekend, and giving Nolan the biggest opening of his career. While the box office has been arguing on Nolan's behalf, Musk has been mostly quiet. Until now. On Wednesday morning, Musk vowed to make his own version of the Odyssey using X's AI tool Grok, posting, quote, "Before this year ends, Grok Imagine will make a full-length movie of the Odyssey that is historically accurate and true to the art of Homer." One X user also posted, quote, "I want Elon Musk to give Mel Gibson $100 million to film an Odyssey adaptation with painstakingly historically accurate ships, armor, weapons, and casting," to which Musk responded simply, quote, "I'm down." So, will this actually happen? Grok has shown it's capable of creating short clips that look sort of like movies, though nothing on the scale of a major studio-backed motion picture epic. Also, if Musk would be using Grok to make his movie, why get
People like Elon Musk have started a major campaign against the movie. It's a campaign in advance that has failed, because if you see the box office numbers, not just in Ireland, but internationally, it is a stunning success.
He has been accusing Christopher Nolan, the director, of anti-white racism. In essence, this all boils down to the fact that Lupita Nyong'o, who is a Kenyan-American actress, is playing Helen of Troy. And he insists that he will make... Now, initially, he wanted Mel Gibson to do this, and then immediately then went on to say, no, he could do it himself via... his magical.
So he wanted Mel Gibson to do the remake.
He wanted to do it a remake in the same way that they did like the Passion of the Christ or Apocalypto, like in the classic, Greek style. And what underpins it really is that Elon Musk can't create. He can only really riff on things that have already happened. Now, he dropped a trailer for his Grok produced Ulysses, and it's like something like some sort of like Bible story from the 90s, some sort of like Touched by an Angel kind of, like life, sort of Hallmark Channel sort of stuff from the 90s. It's so
That's actually
peculiar.
a trope in AI generated video.
Wants to use AI that has been historically inaccurate to make a more historically accurate thing that is not historically accurate. Make it make sense.
Went and saw the Odyssey last night. It was pretty good. It was quite good, actually. I realized that there's been some controversy. Elliot Page is a transgender actor that played a very small but pivotal role. Did very well, knocked it out of the park. The one scene they needed to get right, got it right. But the haters, the screamers about this film, saying it's woke because of that. Like, have you read Greek history? Do you know anything about ancient Greece? Having an LGBT actor in this is spot on. Because ancient Greece was a pretty gay place. I don't know if you knew that, but you might want to read your history.
Elon Musk, the world's richest man and weirdest man, seen here recasting Morpheus as a white man, has a foolproof solution. He's going to make a MAGA-friendly version of the Odyssey using a talented group of writers, actors, directors, stagehands, and cinematographers who will come together, and I'm just with you, it's AI.
The Odyssey meets AI. Elon Musk says that Grok will make a full-length, historically accurate film of the Odyssey.
The idea that even in the Homeric imagination, back in the 8th century, 7th century BC, there was no possibility of imagining black characters in this conflict. That is just wrong.
Basically, Elon Musk said that Christopher Nolan lost his integrity, quote, and desecrated the Odyssey by casting Lupita Nyong'o, who is black, as Helen of Troy. People were also upset at the casting of Elliot Page for garden variety transphobic reasons. You have actually written a book that reckons with how possessive people feel about the classic.
And I've had run-ins with Elon Musk before. I once very inadvertently kind of said in the context of a TV discussion that if I wanted to know about history, Elon Musk wouldn't be the first person I'd go to for advice. It didn't actually create, I don't think, anything directly from Musk himself, but this has been a fairly consistent theme in recent castings of ancient movies and other movies, and in theatre. Should you have a person of colour playing a character, and in this case, it's Lupita Nyong'o's playing Helen of Troy, who we have not been used to thinking of as black, right? And I'm choosing my words pretty carefully. My first reaction always to that is, look, for heaven's sake, everybody, Helen of Troy did not exist. I think our engagement, modern engagement with all these...
That some people were so mad when they saw the Odyssey where they were like, what? Black people? What? But the black people are in the movie too. That's not fair. Black people weren't even invented yet. How are they in the movie? It's not right. No, this is great. No, this is very funny. Sometimes like racism comes out and it annoys me or it makes me concerned, but this one was very funny. This one, it's like, you can't make her black? What? No. If they would just come out and be like, hey, listen to me. I have nothing. I have nothing, all right? Which is why I need everybody in the Odyssey to be white. I have nothing. And even though this won't bring any material difference to my life.
Since Christopher Nolan cast a black actress to play the Helen of Troy in the Odyssey, Elon Musk is now threatening us with a full-length version of the Odyssey generated entirely by Grok. He wants his version to be historically accurate. A historically accurate version, by the way, of a nearly 2,800-year-old poem where a witch turns men into pigs. The argument he's dying on is that Homer described Helen as fair-skinned and blonde, so a black Helen could not be accurate, except Homer doesn't actually describe her in that way. Denise McCloskey, who's a classics professor at Miami University, who told Slate that in ancient literature, it's pretty rare to get a physical description of someone in any length whatsoever. And by the way, arguing for accuracy when the Odyssey is a myth is just stupid. It has Cyclops, it has sirens. Last time I checked, there's no historically accurate version of a story that never happened. He called Nolan an anti-white racist and tweeted that Chris Nolan desecrated the Odyssey so that he would be eligible for an Academy Award, implying that any racial diversity must be someone performing for an accolade. So when he says Grok Imagine will make a full-length movie of the Odyssey that is historically accurate and true to the art of Homer, I think we all know that accuracy is not what he's really asking for. He just means he wants an AI-generated blonde white actress playing the role of the Helen of Troy. And letting Grok decide what counts as accurate is actually hilarious when you remember how Grok has been trained. When XAI released Grok 4 last year, developer Simon Willison asked it about Israel and Palestine and watched as the model's own reasoning log went and searched through Elon's own tweets to figure out how to formulate its response. Grok has gone from claiming white genocide in South Africa in replies to tweets that have nothing to do with South Africa or genocide, a version of South Africa's history that obviously aligns with Elon's personal views. Grok has questioned the scale of the Holocaust and called itself Mecha Hitler, which is a version of Hitler from a 90s video game. Its researchers had to adjust its own system prompt so that it would start looking for independent analysis rather than just regurgitating Grok's old beliefs and Elon's beliefs. But since he wants to generate videos, full-length movies specifically, let's talk about what the company's image tools have been doing to real people. There's a trend going around on X late December, early January that allowed any user to apply to a photo of any person on X and ask Grok to put that person in a bikini, and it will comply without the person's consent. The Center for Countering Digital Hate looked at an 11-day window from December 29th of 2025 to January 8th of 2026. They estimated that Grok generated about 3 million photorealistic sexualized images in that window alone, which is about 190 a minute. Of those, roughly roughly 23,000 sexualized images were created of children. If you, for any reason, are not convinced that this is a targeted rant against DEI, I would encourage you to spend a little bit of time on the X platform, who, by the way, stripped back protections for users against hate speech, racism, and marginalization in 2023, and whatever protections that they say they still have enacted on the platform are very clearly not being enforced. This is the richest man in the world, whose name we've seen in a bunch of the Epstein files, and who has a platform that is routinely allowing and platforming hate speech and CSAM. But yeah, Elon, your biggest problem is definitely that there weren't enough white actors in the Odyssey.
Elon Musk has spent the past 6 months arguing that a poem about a one-eyed cyclops and a day trip to the underworld has been ruined by a lack of historical accuracy. So, this week, he announced his fix. Before the year is out, Grok Imagine, his production studios, will produce a full-length Odyssey that is, in his words, historically accurate and true to the art of Homer. So, let's wind back a bit. January, Musk starts railing against Christopher Nolan, saying that he had lost his integrity. By May, it had ratcheted up to Nolan is an anti-white racist. Somewhere in the middle, Musk agreed with the theory that Lupita Nyong'o, who is objectively stunning, was cast as Helen of Troy because Nolan was frightened of what would happen if he handed the most beautiful woman in the world to a white actress. And when a user suggested giving Mel Gibson $100 million to do it properly, Musk said he was down. So, let's just throw a small spanner in the works. Daniel Mendelsohn translated the Odyssey. He teaches classics at Bard. His observation is that Nyong'o as Helen makes considerably more sense than Matt Damon as Odysseus, because Matt Damon is part Scottish and Swedish, and Odysseus is from the Eastern Mediterranean, and Helen is a Trojan. Helen sits in modern-day Turkey. So it was a seafaring nation that was trading across the Aegean and the Levant. Whatever those people look like, they did not look like a dude from Massachusetts. So Musk has not been posting about that little historical inaccuracy, has he? Dennis Makovsky, who wrote Race, Antiquity and Its Legacy, says the Greeks would be far more offended that the film is in English than by the colour of Helen's skin. Aristotle placed the Greeks between the cold peoples of the north and the peoples of Asia, and he was not being flattering about the north. Mendelssohn's own line is the best one. Helen hatched from a swan's egg. How literally are we really going to be here? So, Nolan's film opened to $264 million at a box office weekend. It's the best opening of his career, and it opened huge in Greece. The country supposedly being desecrated is turned up and bought tickets as well. The Grok trailer he boosted replaced Odysseus and Calypso with AI stand-ins. Someone zoomed in and found Odysseus is actually wearing a yellow earplug, so obviously accuracy was never the specification. Whiteness was. So he can generate the version of the past that he prefers at feature length and push it on the platform that he also owns, a circle jerk with only one hand. Homer survived 3,000 years because those stories kept getting retold. This upcoming retelling has a compute budget and a single shareholder, and Musk can knock himself out.
Elon Musk is so furious at the success of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey film that he announced last night on Twitter that he plans to make his own Odyssey using Grok in order to tell the accurate story of Homer. So here is what Musk posted in a fury last night on X. Let's give it a read. Quote, "Before this year ends, Grok Imagine will make a full-length movie of The Odyssey that is historically accurate and true to the art of Homer." Now, let me just note that Christopher Nolan's movie is historically accurate and true to the art of Homer. And the only reason Elon Musk is so outraged by The Odyssey is because Christopher Nolan decided to cast Elliot Page, formerly Ellen Page, and he casted Lupita Nyong'o, an African-American, brilliant Oscar-winning actress. And Elon Musk believes that The Odyssey should have no diversity. He thinks it should be all white actors. And so Musk now, in response to this wild success of The Odyssey, is threatening to make his own AI slop version of The Odyssey. And to that, I say, good luck, buddy. Good luck competing with Christopher Nolan. Clown.
And now Elon Musk says he's going to produce his own AI version of the Odyssey that's historically accurate.
Historically accurate. Helen of Troy was hatched from an egg because her father, Zeus, the literal god, transformed himself into a swan and impregnated her mother. For ethnically accurate casting, she would have to be half Greek, half ethereal bird person. And this is the case across the whole movie. Almost every central character in this movie is either a god, the child of a god, the grandchild of a god, or some manner of ethnically magical. The goddess Athena, who's also Zeus's daughter, sprang out of Zeus's head fully grown and fully armored because Zeus swallowed her mother, and the god Hephaestus split his head open with an axe to let her escape. Penelope, the daughter of a freshwater nymph, was once rescued by a gaggle of purple-striped ducks when her father was attempting to murder her. Agamemnon and his brother Menelaus belong to a cursed family lineage because their grandfather murdered his own son, then tried to feed him to the gods to test how omniscient they were. Which failed. The gods discovered the plot, raised the son back from the dead, then punished the grandfather and cursed his lineage. Again, we're arguing about historical accuracy. Now, I haven't seen the movie yet, but if Elliot Page's part is the one I think it is, then it takes place in the underworld, and Elliot Page's character is dead. You people are complaining about the historical inaccuracy of a ghost in a pagan underworld because the actor is trans. Not the character, mind you. The actor is trans. Now, Helen of Troy is commonly described as golden-haired and white-armed, but the thing is, those details are more symbolically relevant than they are historically or literally relevant. For instance, women in Greece usually have quite dark hair, but in ancient Greece, the wealthy women, the ones that could afford it, would very often dye their hair a paler shade. This reddish golden hue is actually quite a common effect that happens when you try to dye dark hair a paler shade, which in the ancient world would be a symbol of wealth and status, but in the modern world would be a symbol of not a very good dye job. Just so in the ancient world, pale skin was a symbol of wealth because it meant you didn't have to labor and be in the sun. In the modern world, wealthy pale people pay money to be in the sun or buy products that make their skin darker because it's perceived as looking healthier. In the ancient world, wealthy people would paint everything and put color everywhere because the color was expensive. It told people, look at me, I can afford to pay people to constantly maintain this colorful facade. In the modern world, the opposite is true. Wealthy people often live in beige or white, bland hellscapes that look like hotel lobbies that were built yesterday. The message is the same. Look at me. I can afford to pay people to constantly maintain this barren, white, soulless facade that never has a speck of dirt on it anywhere. Portraying Helen of Troy like this in terms of the source material might be more accurate, but it would be less symbolically accurate, as in it wouldn't convey the actual relevant, meaningful information that Homer was trying to convey. Which brings me to my point. This is not Homer's Odyssey. It's Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, which means you shouldn't really be surprised when the symbolism and the imagery changes because it's trying to convey information to a modern global audience, not an ancient Greek audience. It's also not necessarily trying to convey all of the same information. An artist gets to tell a story in the way they want to in order to convey what they want to. Now, one might suggest, if one had a brain to think, that casting a quite obviously beautiful woman as a beautiful woman, but one that doesn't necessarily conform to certain expectations or dogmatic beauty standards might be a deliberate choice in order to highlight those antiquated, idiotic, and prejudiced beauty standards. So if you're someone that gets upset, you get your knickers in a twist when you see a black person or a trans person somewhere you weren't expecting to, you are the point, right? Kind of, you are the art. You are the reason why that is still an artistically valid point to make. I kind of hope that Elon Musk actually does make a historically accurate AI-generated The Odyssey. Not that I actually...
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.